Long ago, in the kingdom of Ayatoro, the earth was fertile and the rivers were wide, flowing like silver snakes through thick forests of iroko, baobab, and palm. The drums never rested there. They called to the spirits at dawn, carried messages to hunters in the bush, and praised the king in the evenings. The people of Ayatoro lived under the rule of King Oladiran, a warrior whose spear had silenced many invaders. Yet the true jewel of the kingdom was his wife, Queen Adesewa. Her voice was soft but commanding, her heart steady like the river's current. She listened to the cries of widows, judged fairly between farmers, and even soothed warriors when anger boiled their hearts. But though she was beloved, sorrow hid in her eyes. For many years her womb remained closed. At night she would press her face into her mat, whispering prayers that only the ancestors could hear. Orunmila, seer of destinies, Oshun, mother of rivers, do not let my name vanish without a child. Give me life to nurture, and I shall honor you forever. The people whispered behind her back. A queen without an heir? Who will inherit Ayatoro? But Adesewa did not grow bitter. She carried herself with dignity, walking barefoot to sacred groves, offering white cloth, honey, and kola nut. She poured libations by the river and fasted under the gaze of the moon. One night, when the moon glowed red as palm oil, the priest of Ifa came to the palace, cowries in hand. After casting them, his voice trembled with awe. The womb of the queen shall open. She will not bear one child, but two. Twins, Taiwo and Kehinda, children blessed by heaven. And so it was. When Adesewa's time came, thunder cracked across the sky. Midwives rushed into her chambers, their hands steady, their chants rising above her cries. Lightning flashed, rain hammered the palace roof, and with a cry that shook the walls, Adesewa gave birth to a boy and a girl. The first to emerge was the boy, Taiwo, whose tiny fist clenched as though ready for battle. The second was the girl, Kehinda, her eyes sharp even as a newborn, as though she had already seen the world beyond. The palace erupted in joy. Drummers beat the talking drum until the earth quivered. Griots sang the lineage of the royal house, and dancers leapt high with raffia skirts flying. "Twins!" the people cried. "Twins are wealth! Twins are blessings!" For in Yoruba belief, twins are sacred beings, bearers of fortune, feared and respected. They are seen as a bridge between worlds, carrying mystery that no mortal can fully grasp. But while the kingdom celebrated, one spirit did not smile. In the stillness between life and death, Iku, the spirit of death, stirred. His hollow voice echoed across the unseen world. "Two souls born together. They are mine. Their laughter will not last." And so, unknown to the joyful people of Ayatoro, a shadow stretched toward the cradle of the royal twins. If this opening grips your heart, don't just watch quietly. Hit the like button and subscribe to African Folktale Queens TV. More powerful tales of queens and mothers await you. The twins grew like young palms drinking the morning sun. Their laughter spilled through the palace halls, filling every corner where silence once lived. Taiwo was daring, always crawling farther than the maids expected, always stretching his small hands toward drums and swords. Kehinda was calmer, watchful, as though her spirit measured every shadow before she moved. The people of Ayatoro adored them. Market women tied cowries to their tiny ankles, singing blessings. Hunters left roasted antelope at the palace gates as gifts. Even old men who rarely smiled grinned when the twins clapped their little hands. But in the dead of night, when torches burned low, a shadow stirred. Queen Adesewa woke with her heart pounding. She had heard it. Footsteps, heavy and hollow, though no guard passed through her chamber. She sat up, clutching her wrapper, and her eyes widened. In the far corner, where the lamplight did not reach, a shape gathered. It rose taller than a man, cloaked in darkness. its face empty yet filled with hunger. Adesewa's throat went dry. Still, she forced her voice steady. "Who dares disturb the queen of Ayatoro?" The shadow shifted, and a voice rattled like dry bones. "I am Iku, the inevitable one. I have come for what is mine. The twins belong to me." Adesewa's arms flew around her children, pressing them close against her chest. "No!" she cried. "They are flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. You shall not touch them." Death's laughter echoed, chilling the air. "Even kings bow to me. Do you think your love can bar my way?" The queen's fear blazed into fury. With trembling hands, she reached for her cowrie beads, blessed by priests and carried everywhere she went. She whispered chants taught to her by the diviners, words older than kings. The beads shone with sudden light. A golden glow spread through the chamber. Death hissed, retreating into the shadows, its form unraveling like smoke. But before vanishing, it whispered, "This is not over. Their time will come." From that night forward, Queen Adesewa knew peace no longer. Each evening she prepared charms of chalk and iron, tying them above the cradle where the twins slept. She mixed herbs into their bathwater, sang lullabies whose lyrics carried hidden spells of protection. Sometimes death came as a serpent, sliding silently across the palace floor. Sometimes it perched at the window as an owl with eyes like black holes. Sometimes it stretched across the wall like a shadow longer than any flame could cast. But always, the queen was waiting. Always, she fought. Her body grew weary, her eyes hollowed with sleepless nights. But her spirit never faltered. She had sworn on her life that death would not have her children, and she carried that vow like a sword. The palace soon whispered of her strange strength. Servants told tales in the marketplace. "Our queen does not sleep. She wrestles spirits. She is a lioness guarding her cubs." And yet, death was patient. Death does not tire. What would you do if death came for your loved ones? Share your thoughts in the comments, and keep listening as this battle grows darker. Years passed, and the twins grew like young Iroko trees. Taiwo ran through the palace courtyards with wooden swords, challenging guards to mock duels. Kehinde carried small gourds of water, mimicking the priestesses at the shrine, whispering prayers in her childish voice. Their laughter rang out like bells, a song the whole kingdom cherished. But Adesewa's joy was never free of shadow. Though she had driven death back many times, she knew Iku lingered. The priests warned her, "Death does not abandon its claim. Be watchful, Iya Ibeji, mother of twins." One fateful night, when the twins were 3 years old, the palace torches flickered strangely. A coldness spread through the halls as though the breath of the ancestors had left. The guards shivered and clutched their spears, though no enemy stood before them. In her chamber, Adesewa stirred from restless dreams. She heard it before she saw it, the dragging of feet, the rattle of unseen chains. She rose quickly, beads clutched in her fist, and there it was. Death had returned. This time it filled the room fully, no longer hiding in corners. Its cloak rippled like smoke, and its voice was heavy with command. "This is the last time, woman. You cannot keep them forever. Choose. Surrender one twin, and the other shall live. Refuse, and I will claim them both." Adesewa's breath caught. The weight of the words crushed her heart. Choose? How could a mother choose between the son who leapt like a lion and the daughter who spoke with the wisdom of a sage? To give one away was to tear her soul in half. Her knees buckled, but she forced herself upright, her arms spread wide between death and her children. "Never!" she cried. "Not one hair from their heads will I give you. If a life must be taken, take mine. Spare my children. Let them live. Let them grow. Let them carry the name of Ayatoro beyond my years, but let me be the price." The air trembled. Even death stilled. No one, not even the spirits, expected such a declaration. Death's hollow laugh came, though softer than before. "You would offer yourself so freely?" Adesewa lifted her chin, though tears burned her eyes. "Yes, for a mother's life is nothing if her children do not live." The ancestors stirred, their voices whispering through the wind. "Adesewa, brave Adesewa, she who dares to bargain with death itself." A silence deep as the river's floor fell over the chamber. For the first time death seemed uncertain. Then, with a voice like cracking earth, it said, "So be it. If you would bargain with me, then prove your strength. Meet me in the place where mortals seldom tread. Fight me there, and if you triumph, your twins shall be free. Fail, and all three of you will be mine." Before Adesewa could reply, the room spun. Her body was lifted as though caught by a whirlwind, past the palace walls, past the waking earth, into a place where time itself faltered. She landed in the forest of spirits, a place where trees had no leaves, where the soil was littered with bones, and where the air itself hummed with sorrow. And there, waiting, stood death. If this queen's sacrifice moves you, type "Love Conquers All" in the comments to honor her courage. And stay with us, for the greatest battle is yet to come. The forest of spirits stretched endlessly, silent but alive with unseen eyes. The trees bent inward as if to watch. Bones cracked beneath Adesewa's bare feet, yet she did not flinch. She clutched her cowrie beads and whispered prayers to the Orisha, calling on Ogun, the god of war, and Yamoja, mother of all waters. Death loomed ahead, its form swelling until it towered above her. Its cloak unfurled like storm clouds, and its hollow sockets glowed with pale fire. "You should have surrendered," Death hissed. "No mortal wins against me." Adesewa's voice rang strong. "Then today you will learn what a mother's love can do." With that, the ground split, and the battle began. Death lashed out with shadows sharp as spears. They tore through the air, striking where she stood. But Adesewa leapt aside, her wrapper flowing like wings. She hurled her beads to the earth, and they exploded in bursts of golden light. The shadows hissed, retreating like snakes from fire. Again Death struck, this time as a whirlwind of bones and ashes. The storm roared, pulling at her hair, dragging at her skin. Adesewa dug her heels into the soil, gripping a fallen branch like a staff. She spun it in wide arcs, breaking through the storm, her chants rising above the howl. The ancestors stirred. Their voices wove into her song, strengthening her tongue, guiding her arms. Every strike she made felt lighter, sharper, blessed. But death was endless. It shifted forms, a lion with ribs for flesh, a serpent with skulls for scales, a river of darkness rolling forward. Each time Adesewa stood her ground. Though her arms burned, her breath came ragged, and blood stained her lips. At last, Death towered again, its voice like thunder. "You fight bravely, but you are only flesh. Every mortal bends to me. Even love cannot change this truth." Adesewa raised her staff, her body trembling but her spirit unbroken. "Love is not flesh. Love is eternal. And today, it will bind even you." She slammed the staff into the ground. A shock wave rippled outward. The soil glowed with light, and the bones littering the forest began to rise. Spirits of the forgotten dead, called forth by her will. The spirits formed a circle around Death, their wails filling the night. Bound by Adesewa's sacrifice, they held the shadow fast. With the last of her strength, the queen pressed her palm to the earth and cried, "By the blood in my veins, by the life I offer, I seal you away from my children." Light burst from her body, searing, blinding. Death shrieked, twisting, unraveling, forced back into the darkness from which it came. When silence fell, Adesewa lay upon the soil, her chest heaving, her vision blurred. The forest of spirits shimmered, then dissolved. She felt herself lifted, carried on the whispers of the ancestors, back toward the land of the living. She had fought death, and for the first time, death had retreated. Would you have the courage to face death itself for someone you love? Comment: yes, if you believe love is stronger than fear. And don't stop listening. The story is not over. Adesewa awoke in her chamber, the soft glow of morning spilling through carved windows. The twins slept beside her, their tiny chests rising and falling with perfect rhythm. She reached for them, and relief flooded her heart, but it was tempered by the heavy price of her triumph. Her hair had turned white overnight, streaked like moonlight across black silk. Scars ran along her arms and shoulders, the marks of the battle she had waged in the forest of spirits. Every muscle ached, yet she rose to her feet, pressing her palms together in gratitude. The palace guards, who had watched from the courtyard, bowed low, astonished. "Your Majesty," one whispered, "we heard the cries of the spirits. We saw the wind of your power. You have done what no mortal could." Adesewa only smiled wearily. "The power was never mine alone," she said softly. "It was ours, mine, the ancestors, and the love that binds a mother to her children." Word spread quickly through Ayatoro. The people came to see the queen who had faced death itself. They marveled at her strength, her courage, and the devotion she had shown. Mothers wept, fathers knelt, and children clutched their siblings, whispering prayers of protection. Even the priests spoke in hushed tones of reverence. Iya Abiye, they called her, the mother who shields life. They offered her gifts of gold, sacred cloth, and kola nuts, but she refused, saying, "The only gift that matters is the life of my children." Taiwo and Kehinde grew up with their mother's courage imprinted in their hearts. They learned from her not just the art of swordplay and the ways of the shrine, but also the deeper lesson that love can be stronger than any force, mortal or spirit. Yet the battle had left its mark. Adesewa often felt the weight of exhaustion pressing down on her chest. At night, when the palace slept, she would close her eyes and see the shadow of death flickering on the walls, hear its hollow whisper carried on the wind. She shivered, remembering the smell of the forest of spirits and the bones that had risen at her command. But she also remembered the laughter of her twins, the warmth of their tiny hands clutching hers, and the knowledge that she had kept them safe. That memory was her shield. Over the years, Adesewa shared her story with the kingdom, teaching not only courage, but sacrifice. She told how she had faced death itself and how love, even in the face of the inevitable, could bend fate. She spoke of wisdom and patience, of the importance of protecting what is precious, and of the power in choosing life over fear. The people of Ayatoro never forgot her deeds. Mothers and fathers would whisper her story to their children, teaching them that courage is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to act in spite of it. Adesewa had won, but the price was written into her body and spirit. She had given part of herself so her children could live. And though she would grow frail in time, her heart remained unbroken, her mind sharp, and her devotion eternal. Would you fight death itself for someone you love? Let us know in the comments, and continue watching, for the final part of this legend will reveal the enduring legacy of Queen Adesewa. The years passed, and the twins flourished under their mother's watchful eyes. Taiwo grew into a fearless warrior, his laughter carrying the echo of his mother's courage. Kehinde became a healer, her hands gentle and steady, her voice carrying the wisdom of the ancestors. The kingdom of Ayatoro prospered as never before. Crops flourished in the fields, rivers ran clear, and drums rolled in celebration every day. The people respected not only the king and queen, but the lessons woven into the lives of the royal twins: bravery, wisdom, and the power of love. Queen Adesewa, now older and grayer, watched her children with pride and humility. She understood that her victory had not only preserved their lives, but also strengthened the spirit of the kingdom. She had shown that even in the face of death, courage and love could triumph. The story of her battle spread far and wide. Travelers spoke of it on dusty roads, fishermen told it along riverbanks, and griots recounted it at village squares. They told of a queen who faced the shadow of Iku, who bargained with death, who risked everything for the sake of her children. Even after her body could no longer bear the trials of battle, her spirit remained indomitable. Mothers whispered her name as they rocked their children to sleep, telling them that love could guard against the darkness, and courage could stand against the inevitable. When Queen Adesewa finally passed, the kingdom mourned, but they also celebrated. She had left behind not only her children, but a legacy of bravery and devotion. Taiwo and Kahinda ruled wisely in her stead, carrying the lessons she had imparted and honoring the courage that had protected them. Every year the people of Ayatoro held a festival in her honor. They sang songs of the queen who fought death, danced in the streets, and offered prayers at the shrines. Children dressed as warriors and priestesses, pretending to battle shadows, remembering that courage could live in every heart. Even today, among the Yoruba people, mothers rock their twins at night and whisper the story of Queen Adesewa. They speak of her bravery, her sacrifices, and the love that defeated death itself. "Rest, child," they say. "Even if death comes, love will fight for you. Remember the queen who proved that no shadow can dim the light of a mother's heart." The memory of Queen Adesewa lives on, a shining example of courage, sacrifice, and the boundless power of love. And though centuries may pass, her story reminds all who hear it. True love is never conquered, and the courage of a mother can outshine even death itself. Thank you for joining us on African Folktale Queens TV. If this story touched your heart, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more timeless legends, and share it so others can discover the courage of our queens.